All right, Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo is speaking. Let's listen in.
Spanish, and we'll hear from Dr. Shaw. I'll start in English. We'll hear from Dr. Shaw. I will repeat my remarks in Spanish, and then we'll take questions. Let me begin by stating a simple but harsh truth. Today, we find ourselves careening toward a catastrophic and unsustainable situation. Our current hospitalization rate is on pace to overwhelm the hospital in the near future. Of all the countries in the globe, the United States is now the worst by many measures. Certainly, it's one of the worst hit. And Harris County is therefore a hotspot in one of the worst hit nations in the world. The eyes of not just the nation, but the world are upon us, and history will remember the action we take now. It is incumbent on all of us to buckle down and to act. If we pull together and remember the individual actions will make a difference with this virus, will save the lives of others, we can do this. Harris County has done this before, and we can do it again. We are nothing if not resilient, and the challenge is ours to meet. Let's meet this challenge together. There are some who will say there's no real cause for concern, that we can adjust to this, that there is space in our hospital surge capacity. When did we lose our respect for human life and the economy to the degree that we're saying let's fill our ICU beds and surge capacity before we take any meaningful action? Since when did we decide as a society that instead of saving a life and preventing the spread of the virus, we would treat human lives, the lives of our neighbors, as collateral damage to be dealt with? It was this community, residents of Harris County, that helped neighbors during Harvey. The respect for the lives of others was overwhelming. This pandemic is like an invisible hurricane where all of a sudden your neighborhood is flooding. Your next door neighbor's house is underwater and nobody knows why. Yet courageous, big-hearted people put the lives of others first and braved dangerous floodwaters during Hurricane Harvey to rescue their stranded neighbors. Where are we today? A real expression of freedom is protecting your father, your mother, your child, your neighbor, your friend, coming together as a community and protecting one another's lives, protecting our veterans, the greatest generation that fought in World War II, doing everything possible to get the economy up and running in a smart and sustainable way instead of giving way to slogans and wishful thinking. To me, we have to remember our moral compass. Lives are not collateral damage. We have to remember who we are as a community. We can and must do more. It is for these reasons I'm calling once again on all residents of Harris County and all businesses in Harris County to take immediate action. As such, I've directed that as of noon today, we elevate our public threat level from significant, orange, level 2, to severe, red, level 1. This is the highest possible COVID threat level in Harris County. It means there is severe and uncontrolled level of COVID-19. The outbreaks are worsening. Our public health capacity is strained or exceeded. Healthcare surge is not only likely, but is already in progress. This is a serious situation, and we cannot let this moment pass without action. Here are the steps every resident needs to take right now to help pull us back from the brink of this crisis. Stay home, except for essential needs like going to the grocery store, food, medicine. Avoid and cancel all gatherings of any size with people you don't share a household with. Essential workers, practice special precautions to prevent spread. All vulnerable individuals, stay home. Avoid non-essential personal travel, non-essential business, public transportation where possible. Cancel visits to nursing homes, long-term care facilities. These are the same steps the community took when we pulled together and flattened the curve a few months ago, when we were an example of how to fight the virus instead of an example of what not to do, as we're turning into now. All along, data and evidence have driven our decision-making when it comes to our work to contain the spread of this virus. And what the data says is indisputable. Our hospitals, the largest medical center in the world, are using 100% of their base operational capacity right now and are beginning to have to rely on surge contingency plans. Since June 13th, we've seen the number of COVID patients in Harris County, ICU and hospital general populations double. Every day since June 13th, our hospital and ICU populations have been higher than our previous highs in April. Whichever angle you look at it from, our situation is far worse today than when we issued the first stay-home order in Harris County and when the state issued their first stay-home order. This is unacceptable. And for those of us entrusted with the work of doing everything possible to protect human life, it begs for aggressive and sustained action. All of this data is what I'm relying on. The curves that show our capacity running out in a matter of days or just a few weeks are conservative estimates. The first time we flattened the curve, it took us weeks, and we may not have weeks. Let me be clear. Plenty of people are trying to grasp at straws, to point out a hospital bed here or there, or say that we should simply close a few things. Nobody who opposes bold steps is providing me with an alternative interpretation of this data. Nobody that opposes these steps is providing me with any evidence that something short of a full stay-home order will work to avert the crisis right now. Wishful thinking is neither good public health policy nor a good economic sustainability policy. We know what works and what doesn't. What works are sustained social distancing practices over time. What works is a stay-home requirement. What does not work is the status quo. And that should be obvious to anyone. It's time to look at the truth straight in the face and be real. Anything in between, staying home, or what's currently happening, is a gamble and an experiment on our own people. And not only is that wrong, we do not have the time for that. I desperately want our economy to reopen and to recover as quickly as possible. I have always fought for people's ability to support their families, but that cannot happen when our economy is held hostage by this virus. This is not a binary choice between health and the economy. Simply setting it up the way some folks are attempting to do is a false dichotomy and is misleading. They're going to take us back to the very same place where the very same businesses and people are threatened to where we have to shut down again. If we really want to get to the other side of this, and we can, and we will if we work together, we need to buckle down now, bring down the curve, and then be smarter about how we reopen. The only way to reopen more successfully is to bring those levels way down. Looking at other communities, not only did they flatten it, but they brought the curve way down before they started reopening. We can learn from the communities that have been reopening successfully. We can be responsible and watch and adjust accordingly instead of moving too quickly. That's what we need to do out of respect, not just for our community, not just for our economy, but for our health. It will not be easy, but I can tell you this. The more united we are in this effort, the faster we will get through this. We must bring that curve to the other side, get a fresh start, draw lessons from other communities, and reopen sustainably. Be responsible. Be the smart, tough, compassionate community we know we are here in Harris County. We need to be especially united because we're doing this with one hand tied behind our back. We don't have authority that we had in Harris County early on. No longer can I issue an enforceable stay-home, work-safe order. And this time, we actually have to be even more successful than that time. We're well past that point. So we're going to have to work together, Harris County, to do this ourselves. I am issuing something very similar to the initial order. It will be an advisory, but it will mirror the initial order almost exactly. It will change the language to advisory. I urge everybody to do this. Last week, the governor allowed us to reinstate a face covering order as long as businesses were the ones enforcing it. 2 days later, we had one up. Just a couple of days ago, he said we can regulate events of under 100 people, and today we were given new authority in that area. So as of right now, outdoor gatherings over 100 people are prohibited in unincorporated areas of Harris County, and I urge all cities within Harris County to do the same. This authority from the governor does not allow me to cover the entire county. With July 4th coming up, we'll allow shows where people will be in their cars. We will not be allowing any gathering, outdoor gathering over 100 people where folks are congregating. As the governor makes more tools available, you better believe we will take advantage of every single one of them. But at this point, I'm asking the community to go well beyond that, because the evidence all shows that nothing less than that will do. And we must step up, especially when it comes time to make tough decisions. I'm doing this because anything short of staying home is setting us up for failure. I'm here to help us succeed in our urgent effort to save the lives and health of our people, of our loved ones, our neighbors, our friends, our coworkers, and to get the economy back on track. And I will do everything in my power to get us there. But we need to work together, all of us. For those of you across the nation who are watching what is happening here, let me say this. Consider us the canary in the coal mine. You can look at what is happening here and know that there are no shortcuts to getting around the COVID crisis. It takes hard, bold decisions. It takes entire communities working together for a sustainable, continual period of time and a willingness to work together in the interest of all of us. Harris County is a special place. We've been through hurricanes, we've been through chemical fires, other disasters. Each time we pull through because of the grit and determination of this community, and we can do it again. In the meantime, if anyone is able and willing, we encourage donations to the Greater Houston COVID-19 Relief Fund. The information is at readyharris.org. It will help our community, and as we have additional needs, we will make them clear to the nation. Look, we flattened the curve before. Until we stop the bleeding, we will not be in a position to sustainably open. We will not be in a position to move beyond that, and we're smarter than that. We know success will not happen overnight. I am not going to pretend that. I'm not going to tell you that. It will take time. It will take hard work. It will probably take longer than initially if we actually want that curve to come down and we want to get smarter about this. We can do this, Harris County. Let's hold our heads high. Let's be smart. Let's buckle down. Let's be tough, because that's who we are, and let's go forward. Thank you so much. We will hear now from Dr. Umair Shah, who's the director of our public health department. Then I'll repeat my remarks in Spanish, and we'll take questions. Dr. Shah.
Thank you, Judge, for your comments just now, and again for your leadership and your support. Really want to thank you for that. My name is Dr. Umair Shah. I'm the Executive Director of Harris County Public Health and the local health authority for Harris County. I want to underscore what the judge just said. Let's make it very simple. Enough is enough. We have a real issue in our community right now, and all of us have a part to play in solving this issue. While we recognize that the governor today, the state today, even the judge just now, as she underscored the raising of the alert level to red, that at the end of the day, we recognize that we are really at that point where we have to all work together to fight this pandemic. We know that we are one of the leading communities in the nation, in fact, one of the leading communities in the world. And we usually lead in a way that means that we all come together. We have done this through a number of emergencies. Well, prior to all of us, we've had emergencies in this community, and certainly we are in the midst of one of the worst emergencies that we have ever seen on this planet, and certainly it's impacting us here in Harris County. I cannot stress enough the severity of this situation. If I said to you that we have been up here, and from a public health standpoint and a true health and medical standpoint, we have been saying week after week, wear your masks, wear your cloth face coverings, wash your hands, physically distance, stay away from large gatherings. Do not go out unless you have to. Limit your interactions with others. Do everything you can to monitor your symptoms. Do everything you can to get all of that information that you're hearing all over the news from all sorts of sources to one singular point, which is this pandemic is far from over. This pandemic continues, and we have to fight this together. If we do not fight this together, unfortunately, all the things the judge talked about is what is going to be the history, but the future of where we are going. And we want to make sure we do all of that. Now, there is hope here, and that hope is that we have done this. As the judge mentioned, we have fought successfully this pandemic. Thus far, during the early stages and during the stay home, work safe orders, the case rates, the death rates, they have shown that we have been successful. We did that not just because of us, but because of all of us. We have fought this pandemic successfully. But we are now at a different phase. And people believe that because we have reopened, that it means that you can go out and do whatever you want to do because life is back to normal. I'm telling you, from a health standpoint, life is far from normal. And we are really needing all of you to do all of the things to help us fight this pandemic. I also want to underscore that just this week, the CDC said that pregnant women who contract the virus are at greater risk to be hospitalized. They also may need, more likely to need an intensive care level of care, an ICU bed, and they may even need to be put on a ventilator. It is a measure of society, not just how we all protect ourselves, but we protect those who are more vulnerable in our communities. And whether that's an elderly person in our community, whether it's one of our family members who might have a serious health condition, whether it's a child in our community, whether it's a neighbor who has some existing condition, whether it is a pregnant woman. It is up to all of us not just to protect ourselves, it is also up to us to protect our community. And I want to say that we are one of the most generous and caring communities out there. Our previous responses to hurricanes and even fires and all sorts of activities over the last few years shows that we always step up as a community. But we cannot step up as a community if we do not remember that we are still in the midst of this pandemic. This economy doesn't work if people are afraid to go out, to shop. But what we also have to recognize is that there is a balance. We need to be smart. And the judge is absolutely right. If you do not need to go out, do not go out. Stay home. Be vigilant. Don't do all the things that might get you at a point where you are spreading this virus and making it worse. We also want to say, at the end of the day, that wearing your mask, washing your hands, social distancing, avoiding gatherings, limit your ability to be out if you don't have to. In other words, stay home if you can. If you're sick, avoid others. Get tested. Don't guess, take the test. And we also, from a public health standpoint, are doing everything we can because ultimately we're in the prevention business. We are not wanting to see an overrun in our hospitals or our healthcare system. What we want to see is strong support from our community to do all those things to help us fight this pandemic. We continue to work together. It is up to all of us how these chapters will be written in our community, whether the chapters are going to be written that we were successful or the chapters are written, as the judge said, that we're going to look back and say we had an opportunity, a strategic opportunity to fight this pandemic, and we simply let it go. So let me just close by saying that it is up to all of us. All of us are in this together. We cannot fight this pandemic alone, but you have to keep in mind health and safety in every single thing you do, and you have to be meticulous and we have to do it continuous to help drive this pandemic away from our community and fight it as best we can so we do not see worse outcomes. Thank you very much for everything you're doing. You have worked with us, but we still need you to work with us yet again. Judge, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shah. Let me repeat the remarks in Spanish. Empezando por clarificar que pase lo que pase.
You are listening to Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo updating the COVID threat level to red for Harris County, indicating a severe and uncontrollable outbreak of COVID-19. The judge also saying this morning that she is issuing an advisory that mirrors the initial stay-at-home order that was issued for Harris County back in March. The judge saying there are no shortcuts in order for us to all get through this crisis, that residents and businesses of Harris County must act now. To quote her, one of the things that she first said when this news conference began was that we are careening toward a catastrophic and uncontrollable situation, Lisa.
Right. This is, of course, all coming as the state reports back-to-back record single-day increases in COVID-19 cases. Just over the last week, yesterday marked the second highest single-day increase since the pandemic began. Judge Hidalgo saying we are on pace to overwhelm our hospital system. Despite what we heard from the hospital CEOs yesterday, they said, you know, the word going around that we are increasingly stretched, the ICU capacity level was misinterpreted, and they said that COVID was not eclipsing hospital capacity. She didn't, it sounds like didn't care for that message and is saying, look, let's not even get to the hospital point. Let's prevent before we have to worry about treating anybody. And she's urging everyone to stay home unless it's something you absolutely have to get out of the house for.
And this, of course, comes on the heels of action taken by Governor Greg Abbott just a short time ago this morning. Governor Abbott's office issuing another order saying that all bars and similar businesses that make more than 51% of their income from alcohol must shut down at noon today. Rafting and tubing businesses also included in that as well. And restaurants in the state of Texas must remain at 50% capacity. Governor Abbott blaming young people going to bars and not complying with the rules as we see a spike of new cases in people under the age of 30. The Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission suspending the permits of 12 bars here in the state of Texas for not complying with those reopening guidelines. Lisa.
Dr. Shaw coming to the mic as well, saying right off the bat, enough is enough. We are at that point, he said, where we have to fight this pandemic together. He said, you know, because the state reopened, people think that, oh, well, hey, life is back to normal. We're good. And he's saying, no, not the case. You know, wash your hands, maintain the social distancing, put your mask on, and wear it whenever you leave the house. Also commented on the recent CDC report that now they're saying pregnant women more likely to need an ICU bed, possibly a ventilator. So that in itself is scary. So with all of this information coming out, they are stressing the need to raise that alert level to red, level 1, as of noon today. And yes, Governor Abbott saying the bars need to close. They're still open for takeout and delivery, and then restaurants have to reduce capacity to 50%.
And today, undoubtedly, the strongest position that we've heard Judge Hidalgo take on this matter since this pandemic began for us back in mid-March. The judge saying, look, I recognize the fact that our economy needs to run, but we have to make sure that we're running our economy in a smart and sustainable way. She understands that people need to get back to work. They have to provide for their families. But she says we are now in such dire straits that we have to all come together as a community to take action. That means personal responsibility, continue to mask up. This is something that we've heard Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner say over and over for weeks now. We are just at a tipping point, and in order to flatten the curve, we have to go back and initiate those practices that we started as a county back in the middle of March when that initial stay-at-home work-safe order was issued.
And at that time, all eyes were on New York City as we watched them struggle with their hospital capacity. And Judge Hidalgo saying, look, Harris County is now the hot spot across the country. The eyes of the world are on us. We have to buckle down and act act, pull together, and save lives. And very strong with her words this morning, really trying to get that message across to all of Harris County.
And Governor Abbott also ordering elective procedures to stop, to halt, effective immediately, so that these beds are made available for people who need them. Especially, you know, we're talking about folks who've got to go to the hospital. Look, they're suffering a heart emergency or a stroke and they need immediate medical attention.
Yes, life-saving care.
They want to make sure that these beds are available, that there is bed space to take care of these emergencies, in addition to folks who may be taken to the hospital because they're suffering severe symptoms of COVID-19.
Yes. Judge also saying that the situation today is far worse than when she issued that first stay-at-home order. So she's trying to get the message across that we need to do everything we can to stop the spread of COVID-19, saying that we were on pace to overwhelm our hospitals and we need to put those masks on, wash hands, social distance, everything we've been told for
everything that we've been talking about.
Point, right?
Getting close to 11:30 here on a Friday. If you were just joining us here for KPRC Channel 2 News Midday, you are listening to Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo. We are listening to Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo. She updated the COVID-19 threat level for Harris County to red, indicating a severe and uncontrollable outbreak of the coronavirus. To quote the judge, one of the first things that she said when she started this news conference about 20 minutes ago is that we are, quote, careening toward a catastrophic, uncontrollable situation here in Harris County. And everyone needs to buckle down and act immediately. The judge issuing an advisory, a stay-home, work-safe advisory that essentially mirrors the initial stay-at-home, work-safe order that the judge issued back in March at the beginning of this pandemic. She said anything short of following this advisory is going to set us up for failure. She said we are not in a position as a county to take shortcuts to get around this crisis, Lisa.
Yes, and under this level 1 threat, the county just issuing this, they're saying the public is urged to stay home except for the most essential needs, avoid and cancel all gatherings. Essential workers practice special precautions to prevent the spread. All vulnerable individuals, 65 and older with pre-existing conditions, stay home. Self-quarantine for 2 weeks if you're in close and prolonged contact with someone who you know is tested positive. The face masks, of course, put those on, avoid non-essential business and personal travel, cancel visits to nursing homes and long-term care facilities, and of course, avoid and cancel all indoor and outdoor even gatherings, including concerts, rodeos, large sporting events, which already has been in place for weeks, if not months at this point.
Yeah, a lot to get through with that advisory that was issued. This code red, level red, in effect as of noon today. That's 30 minutes from now. We are also, by the way, waiting for an update from the White House Coronavirus Task Force. That's scheduled to start at any moment now. Vice President Mike Pence leading the briefing on that. Certainly, there's been a lot of developments as 30 states across the country have seen a large uptick in coronavirus cases over the past few weeks.
I'm wondering if we'll see representation from the CDC at that briefing. Not sure who exactly is going to speak in D.C., but we'll, of course, bring you the latest there when that happens. But we are waiting to hear more from Judge Hidalgo. She started this press conference about 15 minutes ago, talking about that now level 1 severe threat for Harris County. She is urging everyone to take this very seriously and stay home, not leaving the house unless it's absolutely necessary.
And we're hearing from the judge, Governor Abbott, as we've covered, issuing additional executive orders this afternoon at 3 o'clock. We're expected to hear from Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner. He's expected to update the city's response on the surge in COVID-19 cases. Along with him, we will likely hear from Dr. David Purse with the Houston Health Department. Houston Fire Chief Samuel Pena and Houston Police Chief Art Acevedo typically attend these briefings as well at City Hall. That one expected to start at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Certainly a lot of big developments as Harris County has essentially become the epicenter of the coronavirus here in Texas. One of several counties that officials are watching very closely, along with Bexar County in the San Antonio area, as well as Dallas County and Travis County. So you're talking here, Lisa, about some of the biggest cities in Texas where we're starting to see and have already seen a spike in these COVID-19 cases.
And we're seeing cities and counties now implement their own mandates with facial coverings. When you think of us getting into COVID just a few months back, and it wasn't even recommended to wear a mask, that's not necessary, and then that changed, and you know, you saw some pushback from people saying, no, I'm not going to do that. And now cities and municipalities and counties are deciding to implement those mandates. We know the city of Galveston has one in order. Of course, Harris County, Fort Bend County just issued one this week as well. I believe, was it Galveston that's issuing theirs through September?
That's right. The city of
Right?
Galveston,
That's right.
They were initially going to have that face mask order for just a couple of days. And this morning we reported that has been extended
The whole summer.
for the entire summer.
Yeah.
Pearland issuing its own
That's right.
face mask order, not Brazoria County, just the city of Pearland. That is set to go into effect here shortly as well. We've reported on the steps that Fort Bend County has taken as well to make sure that its residents mask up in order to slow and contain the spread of COVID-19. The judge saying now is the time for all of us to take action. She was clear about one thing. She said, look, the situation that we're in right now is far worse than the situation that we were in back in March when we saw the rodeo close down and large events and gatherings in and around the city of Houston were canceled. She says now we are just in a situation where the results could be catastrophic if we don't take action immediately. Lisa.
We heard from, I posted this yesterday, but Tillman Fertitta was on CNBC this week talking about the U.S. economy opening during the coronavirus pandemic. And he said, look, our only chance of staying open is the mask. You're not going to have a healthy workforce if you don't mandate the wearing of face coverings. And Judge Hidalgo saying, let's not just think about our economy, let's think about the human life risk factor here. We want to keep everybody healthy. Lives are not collateral damage. We're waiting for her to, she's wrapping up her remarks in Spanish right now, but we're going to take that live as soon as she switches over to English.
Yeah, she's expected to hold a Q&A session for reporters. A lot of us have a lot of questions about the steps that the county judge is taking today. Also,